Hello, my amazing friend. Well done. Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to share with you some reflections about how you have been clearly calling in your community and/or you are deliberately preparing to connect to your most resonant group, tribe, community, friendships yet. This is a big one because many of us who are on this path of whether you want to call it awakening, this path of self awareness, this path of embodying who you truly are, comes with a lot of beautiful gifts of awareness, of insight, of clarity. But there's also the elements of this path that can be very lonely. It can feel alienating. Because there's times that you're going through this process. Anytime you go through an inner transformation, you can imagine there will be ripples in your life. When we embody a different person, different values, when we commit to new values, we'll find that sometimes people, experiences, and situations that once harmonized with us might be inharmonious with the new version of ourselves. If your life was like you playing a certain riff on the guitar, right? And the ways you're being are like the chords and the notes on the guitar. And suddenly you're like, it's time for a different chord. And you play a different chord. The other people who are playing music around you may or may not harmonize. Some people might leave. Some new people might join you. And you see, this analogy that I'm sharing here is what happens when you allow yourself to live authentically according to your values and choices. Now, perhaps when some people hear that, they might hear me say, all right, you lay down the law, you tell people what you're about and who you are, and you're broadcasting it everywhere. What I find that has actually been the most fluid experience that I've experienced so far is when you understand your own values and what you're about. And you commit to them not just in big choices, but in the micro choices. In the moments where no one else is theoretically observing and watching you. When you're all alone, and you're still making those choices. And when you make those choices, they resonate. This is you being authentic. This is you patterning your life. For some of us who have been very sensitive and very attuned, we've sometimes found the need to chameleon ourselves. Perhaps you grew up in a household or a community or group that maybe didn't have as much acceptance for you. For example, for very sensitive masculine, like if you have a masculine body, you might have been ostracized if you came across as too sensitive, or if you shared emotion. You know, especially if you've lived in the West, a lot of those societies have historically, in recent years, not been as favorable for that. But the sensitive masculine is beautiful. That's an opinion of mine. I'm sharing that anyway. From a more expanded, less personalized perspective, the sensitive masculine is an embodiment of the feminine and the masculine at play with each other. I have observed that men and women, people who identify as men and women, when they allow themselves to experience the full spectrum of their individualized sensitivity, strength, feminine qualities, masculine qualities, I have found these people seem to have a deeper satisfaction in their lives because they have more range to pull from. Instead of being boxed into a certain dimension, they can choose what expressions, what musical notes to play in their lives. And when you give yourself permission to do that, you may find some people aren't about that life. And what happens is when we can be at peace with that, when we can embrace who we are and allow other people to discern whether or not they're resonating with that moment to moment, when we can love others with appropriate open hearts, but also allow them to move out of our lives if that's resonant. When we hold boundaries, you can hold boundaries and love at the same time. You can create space between you and another without closing your heart, but still standing within your power without giving away your power to someone that doesn't respect it. I know I'm laying down a lot of different perspectives here right now. So it's okay if we pause and we... Breathing is a great way to integrate information. Sometimes it's why we yawn or sigh or sneeze. It's a fantastic way to integrate, at least I have found. So, what does this all have to do with finding your people and finding your tribe? I've talked a lot in my videos before about the more you are clear with what your values are, and it's not just your values here, it's what you are committed to. It's what, when your actions, your intentions, and your visions all follow, they're all in alignment with this pattern, and you're not attempting to wrestle within yourself for the choices you make. When you are in alignment, thought, word, action, deed, with who you are, this is you living authentically. And that goes a step beyond what a person should or should not do. I'm personally not a big fan of the shoulds. I think shoulds are subjective. I think that I perceive that we do have universal laws. There are ebbs and flows, and we are responsible for our behaviors and actions with ourselves and others. But within that, there's a wide range of parameters that we can choose and discern from. And the most healthy and sane way I have observed myself and others living is when I use that discernment and that clarity to be really authentic and real with myself and be in a state of not judgment, not shame, not guilt, not what I should do. When I look at who I am being moment to moment with what I commit to, and not just what I think I should commit to, but when my actions, when my thoughts show up, what patterns am I repeating? Being at peace with those. And if they're ones where I think, okay, I can augment these patterns, I can make new choices and new healthy patterns, I can be aware of those. And there are some other videos where I talk a little bit about reprogramming. But if you notice, we're not attaching shame or guilt. We're just being like, oh, there's a process here that I'm aware of now, and maybe there's a different way to do it. But I like this process here, and I was putting such guilt or shame on it or thinking I shouldn't do it because people have told me I shouldn't, or I felt weird. Let me give you an example. I have an amazing friend, very like powerhouse kind of friend, and she was feeling very not good about what she felt like procrastinating. She felt like she would do a project and procrastinate, then get everything done in the last, like the final hour, right, so to speak. But then each time she would get it done, it would get done to perfection. And I said to her, well, it sounds to me, and I'm like, well, do you have any specific problem with that? She's like, oh no, I always get it done perfectly. I just feel like, I'm being lazy or I'm delaying it. And we discovered that there was a part of her that genuinely enjoyed being a little bit naughty and not doing the work. And so therefore the whole process of theoretical procrastination and then getting it done like lickety split was actually part of the joy of her experience. So when she dropped the judgment about it and she's all like, yeah, I'm a naughty procrastinator and I'm getting it done at the last moment, suddenly she was laughing about it and realizing how she was creating and playing a game a little bit with herself. And if she wanted to change that pattern, she could now be aware of it and explore new ways to do it. But now, instead of having a judgment about the way she was creating, she was just observing it and interacting with it. And in the same way, we can observe the choices we make, the people we hang out with, who we're calling into our lives, what our values and standards are. And without judgment, we can start being clear and align ourselves with the inner choices that are most resonant to us. And when we commit to those then the outer choices, the outer reflections start taking care of themselves. This is one of the things I mean by saying we are inner to outer creators. You really do have the power. Now, we are co-creating, and you're in a co-creative human form, which means that there are forces that can act upon you in the world. As an example, weather. You go outside, it starts raining, okay? But your perspective, your perception, your ability to guide your movement and your focus and your choices are what helps you be a powerful creator, just at the most basic level. We can talk at a different point how this can be a more and more expanded process. But for now, let's just say your focus and your ability to guide that focus is what essentially makes you a magician. And so the more you are in alignment with yourself and your choices, the more powerful your focus becomes. Not because it was ever any quote unquote less powerful, but now the more aligned it is, it becomes like a laser. It becomes like a laser wherever you guide it in life. And the ability to be non-judgmental, judgment and shame and blame get our energy in loops. And the more that we can essentially give ourselves a break and understand that all of us as humans go through these ebbs and flows and have deep feelings and can feel angry and love and sad and joy and guilt and shame, and we all feel these things. You can give yourself a bit of a break, and you can understand that you're right where you need to be here and now. You are more and more each day making these aligned choices for yourself. And in the terms of calling in your people and community, well, as you are connecting with the truth of who you are, you become magnetic. You become magnetic to those who are also in that authentic resonance with you and resonate, harmonize with you. And without needing to push or pull any relationships in your life, you can just continue to show up, clearly communicate, and those relationships will start sorting themselves. It seems like magic, but it really is just practical, let's call them vibrational mechanics. We resonate within, and the world around us effortlessly shifts. So, I know we captured and covered a wide range of topics here, really all coming back to this core of resonating and calling in your people. If you have any questions or comments, as always, I love hearing them. Always such a joy to connect with you. I very, very much enjoy doing so. And if it has been of any benefit, please do like. If you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do so as well. There will be some resources in the description, and I hope with all my beingness, this has been of service, and you are aware just that much more of the incredible being you are. Talk more soon.